Committee, I need a motion for approval of the March 26, 2024 minutes. Brandy, second Betty.
Madam Chair.
Oh,
We also need to get Linda on the phone.
okay.
Hey, Linda, let me connect you to Bluetooth. Hold on.
Yeah, we'll get the minutes vote and then are there any changes to the minutes? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any nays? Okay. I need a motion to allow Linda Daly to be on the call. Danny Phelan, second, Rob. All those in favor? Aye. Any nays? Okay. Next will be at informational items, monthly financial report.
Thank you, Chairwoman Williams. Welcome. My name is Julie, Assistant CFO for Finance Department. Before you today, we have period 2 for 2024. We have become better on schedule. Last year, we were presenting a month behind, so now we are back to being just about 2 months behind, or 2 months after, so February. So for period 2, we have, looking at the year-to-date activity, I would say we are aligned with what would be the normal expectations for period 2. We should be about 16.7% of the budget. Looking at just revenues, if you take out property taxes, since those won't come in until June, we are 16.1% of revenues year-to-date as of period 2. One revenue we'll keep an eye on will be PPRT, which once we get to July, we will have received about 5 out of the 8 distributions. We'll be about 73%. So we'll have a pretty decent idea of where we'll be at with PPRT. We did estimate that revenue will go down compared to where we were last year, but I think we will still, with what I see so far, hopefully be on par with what is in the budget. As far as expenses, just a couple items to note. We pay our annual insurance premiums. Those are usually due in January, so that was higher. So the year-to-date budget expectation for interfunded department charges was slightly higher due to that fact. Second, in ETSB, they paid off a debt that 4 years early to have some interest savings. So there was a debt service payment that's not normally due in January. We usually have that in June and December. And last, just to remind the committee that we start to transfer early in January all of the funds to the debt service fund. So by May and November, we'll have all the money ready for the June and December interest and principal payments. So those were just a few highlights I wanted to bring to your attention as we start for period 2. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions? Okay. Moving on. Headington Oaks financial report.
Hello, everyone. In your packet is the Headington Oaks financial report for February. As Julie mentioned, I'll explain a little more on the timing of the reports. So we're in April committee getting prepared for the May board meeting. The timing of the close for our month ends, we close 45 days after the month ends, and our materials are due a week ahead of the committees. And so with timing, it seems we're 2 months behind in the reporting. So this is better than the pace we were on last year because of the switch with our software and everything. But we're trying to move things as quickly as we can to give you the most timely information that we can. So this is for February, and if you have questions on Headington Oaks, I am available to take them.
Are there any questions? Do we have a timeline on when we're going to close this completely out?
As soon as we can wrap it up, I would like to have this done by the end of the summer if possible. We are working through audit, as you know, right now, and so we're trying to do a lot of finalizing for year end of 23 and determine with our consultant where we can just kind of wrap everything up. So I would like to see at the end of the summer.
Okay, we are on to March 2024 accounts payable review.
In your packet are all of the payments that were made in March 2024. Last month, you had asked about food and beverage. I did not get that into the packet. I did send a summary to members Renault and member Williams just late last week. I can provide more color commentary to that if necessary, but kind of high level, we found over the last 6 months there was about $35,000 spent on what you would categorize as staff. A good portion of that is like bottled water for the offices, coffee for the offices, and then meetings, training, holiday lunches, that type of thing, came to just over $15,000 for the 6 month period. And so that's about 0.001% of the county's overall budget.
I think we should still let all the board members see that, so if we could
Yep.
get that in the packet, that would be great.
Yeah, that's
okay.
fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on that report? No? Okay, moving on. Peoria County capital projects, funding sources, and progress.
As you'll recall, this report was new last month. We just have an update on expenses through April 11th of this year. And then in the very far right column is a summary of what Calvin in facilities updates for us as to where the actual project is in completion. So any questions on that, please let me know.
Any questions?
In 1.8 mile, take right exit 760 toward Haas Road.
Linda, you might want to mute yourself.
I love that. Okay, so were there any questions on that one? No? Okay. Quarterly strategic plan update.
Right. Thank you, Madam Chair. You'll find, starting on page 60 in your packet, this committee on page 72 in your packet, is the quarterly update for the strategic plan. We have 19 strategic plan action items or goals that the board has identified to be worked on and accomplished over a multi-year period. As I said, page 72 starts the section of the report that covers this committee has oversight over. There are a total of 3 of those goals that you have oversight of. You'll see if there's any status that has occurred in the first quarter of this year. That'll be represented in the far right column. So just as an example, one of the goals is the capital improvement funding strategy, which kind of ties back to the previous report that CFO McCord just made. She's the team leader for that goal, and you can see that we've done some initial planning here in the first quarter as it relates to that item. Performance measurement strategy, that's led by Shelby Walenti, who's also in the finance department. And you can see that that team has met and is in the progress of starting to collect data. And the third and final goal that this committee has oversight of is goal number 18, which is the long-term care debt monitoring item. You can see that you took action, the board took action actually in the fourth quarter of last year, and so many of the action items for this goal are already complete, and we're in a place now where we're monitoring that item on a recurring basis, and then that ties back a little bit to the Hennington Oaks financial report that was earlier in your packet as well. So happy to try and answer any questions for you, Madam Chair.
Any questions? Okay. Next, we have a resolution. However, we are going to be moving that to informational items. And for those of you who were not here at the operations, this is a joint resolution with operations. We have Mark Little, who's going to give us a presentation on the fund balance appropriation for IT for the Health and Human Service campus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In front of you today is some information on an agenda brief we're going to be bringing forward that is funding for the HSS campus, IT-related costs, and a change order. On the screen in front of you is a summary of what that request is. The first part of that request is hardware for networking, client devices, and AV equipment. That's a total of $546,730. The next item for $37,052 is a change order for IT wiring that came in after the bids were put out for the building and meetings were held after that fact. $200,000 of that was put into the 2024 IT budget. Those funds have already been spent. As you can see over on the 2024 side, we had to already order networking equipment and AV equipment due to timelines. So the request is for $383,782 from the IT fund balance to be moved forward to pay for the rest of the equipment. It was always planned, and the guidance to me was that these items would not be included in that building cost, and we were to come forward and request the funding following once we had the total budget. The breakdown as requested by operations, just to give you an example, here's a listing of just the networking equipment required. This has all already been ordered and purchase ordered. What we define as computers and devices, which includes monitors, desktops, laptops, scanners, Microsoft Surfaces, iPads, anything that's related to a desktop end user device. And the final piece is the AV side of it, which the new building has a lot of brand new AV equipment in it. We've already ordered the items you see that have the POs next to it. Those are harder to get items that have longer lead times, so those have already been ordered. So that's the summary of that piece. The secondary piece is the items from the $37,052, which is the changes that are required for additional wiring in the building, or the moving of wiring, and that came out of one-on-one meetings with the end users and the managers of the facility. Once all the equipment was placed on the drawings, and once all the desk and all the office furniture was placed, meetings were had to make sure that everything could be connected, and these changes came out of that. Scott, I don't know if you want to explain that a little further, as we've got questions in the operations side of it on why there's so many, but I'll let you address that.
Thanks, Mark. Happy to. When Farnsworth did the low voltage design, they farmed that out to a subconsultant. That original design for the low voltage was significantly more than what it needed to be. Monica and I, in the same meeting in which it was presented, made a very quick and easy decision that it was unacceptable and for that designer to go back to the drawing board because it was drastically over-designed. The items that you see here that are subject to the change order are items that should have been included, but essentially that designer overcorrected and removed items that they shouldn't have been. The value, as Mark said, is in the $37,000 range. That is a value that is within the approval authority under your rules of Mr. Ruland and myself. He and I have reviewed this change order previously and have approved of it. What this item is, or what's the component tied to this item related to the change order, is how we're going to pay for it when the bill comes, because most of this work has actually been completed based on the approval that Member Ruland and I gave. We made a decision, a strategic decision, that because these are IT-related expenditures, but in the low-voltage package, it would be most appropriate for the IT fund to pay for this change order. The easiest way to do that, though, is to include it in the budget amendment that this agenda item was addressing, and that you'll ideally consider at a special committee meeting on May 9th.
Any questions? Okay, we'll be having a special meeting, as Scott mentioned, on May 9th, so joint, yes, correct. Thank you. Yeah, Jimmy?
So, Scott, did you and Terry, so the original email I think had like April 4th as the timeline for these wires to be put in. Like, has that been something that was technically authorized to move forwards? Because, I mean, having working on construction sites, that's a 2-month delay or month delay, 6-week delay by time you probably start, and as nobody stopped building walls, drywalling, putting just process-wise.
So, so the date on the change order is April 4th. For everyone's benefit, there's a significant amount of work that goes in before the change order actually is provided to Mr. Ruland and myself. There's normally a request for information from the contractor to the architect. The architect actually prepares a response, and if needed, does a request for proposals back to the contractor to get pricing for any changes that may have come up. And so that's why it's you'll see it's COR 21, but it's also RFP number 9, because this is request for proposal number 9. And so, those price quotes were provided by the electrical subcontractor, actually a subcontractor to the primary electrical sub, and the change order was then prepared. And that delivered to us on the 4th. Terry and I looked at it pretty expeditiously and signed off on it. And then the decision was made on how we're going to pay for it. Either could come from the project contingencies, which the contractor River City controls, or as we work through it and believe more appropriately, which is why we're recommending as such that it should come through and out of the IT budget. So, like I said, the majority of this work is probably done, if not all of it is already done, because the roof is on now and drywall is actually going to start next week.
So this is more appropriation than construction.
Right. This is an accounting or a budgetary issue more than a construction issue. That's
I knew
correct.
that was in your threshold, just knowing the process of by the time you identify something in the field, send it up to the architect. That usually takes weeks of them doing nothing to then send it to the process and then our process. I just don't want delays or extra on this. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, moving on. We are at public comment. Is there any public comment? Miscellaneous? Okay, we're adjourned.